the agenda.
How we look? Better than real life?
Yeah.
No, of course not.
Worse. Oh dear. Okay. Anyway, I'd like to welcome everyone who's looking at this to the Board of Selectmen's meeting. We're here live in downtown Pine Street, Cornwall, Connecticut, at the regular meeting of the Cornwall Board of Selectmen. First thing is approval of minutes of March 3rd, 2020. Is there a motion to approve?
Second?
Just one clarification. You said several hundred people had signed up to the newsletter. It was around 100 at that time.
I can fix
Just for
that.
transparency. Thanks. And
Is that it?
yeah, that's it.
Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Additions to the agenda, are there any?
No.
This might be a fairly quick meeting. Communications. There's been a lot of communications back and forth, mostly about topic one. So anyway, we'll get into that later in the meeting. Public comment. There is no public here. We're making our own movies tonight. But the public, of course, has been and is encouraged, especially in these times, to contact our office. The town hall is closed, as are many, to visitors, and we're working remotely. We're here in regular hours, where we encourage people to call us or email us, especially with their concerns or ideas. The libraries are closed, the schools are closed, but again, we're here and do encourage people to stay in touch as they have been. And if there are comments going forward, we will read written comments if they wish into the record, because our whole focus has become keeping everybody keeping our social distance, keeping everybody apart, but also I think our job is to remind everybody, even though we're apart, we're also together as a town and a community. So apart, together. How do you like it? There we go. So anyway, keep those cards and emails and calls coming. First thing on the agenda is COVID-19 virus update. I've been sending out letters on the board's behalf to the residents here in town and people that are watching. And again, I think it's great that we made an initiative to open up communication lines, and we certainly have been posting things on the website through our email, which now has how many people, John? Do you think a couple hundred?
We're up to 143.
Yeah.
And actually, interestingly enough, since we started emailing about the coronavirus, which makes a lot of sense, there's been quite an uptick.
Great.
So keep signing up.
Yeah, that's great. So, and again, I think we as a town have been working on this for over a week. We have a work group together, and again, Diane Beebe, our emergency management director, has been working very hard on it, and there's a lot of thanks already to go around to her, and bringing her skills and training to bear at this important time, because we have been in touch with our state and federal people, but a lot of this is being done at the local level and even on the individual level. And I think that's one of the big takeaways. There's something that everyone can do here in the community, either together or apart, to change habits to try to slow down the spread of this virus. We are near one of the hot spots in Metro New York. There's no doubt in my mind that this is coming to our area. It's already in Litchfield County, and because of the lack of testing, there are probably people that are contagious in our community or nearby right now, and all we can do is, one of the things we can do is stay apart, and again, great cooperation from businesses, schools, and thanks to Diane, also thanks to Terry Burke, who did a vulnerability and strengths analysis of the town as far as looking at us with this challenge, what actions we could do, what things we should recommend. And again, he's put a lot of time into that, looking at that from the assistant emergency management standpoint. And we have also been working with the fire department, the ambulance officers, have been spending a lot of time making sure. One of my big concerns is that we have enough. Well, I've encouraged more testing from our congressional delegation, but also that the flow of personal protective equipment opens up for our first responders. And again, there's I think 3 training sessions tomorrow in town for our volunteers. One thing that we have been working on is reestablishing the community emergency response team called CERT. We've again very thankful for a very good response to our request for volunteers to look at home delivery of groceries and medicines to people. We do have an elderly, a very important elderly population, and we are setting up a program to deliver requests for food and medicines to try to again allow people to stay in their homes. So that's underway. We've got about 12 to 15 people signed up for that program. It's actually, they come under the state umbrella, so they have authorization from the State Emergency Management Department, and they'll do some training tomorrow for personal protection and things, so they'll be ready to go on that. So that's been a new program that is working so far pretty well. The food pantry is closed, so we will be delivering food to the people that rely on the food pantry for their food. And again, thanks very much for the people that have stepped up to sort of organize that program.
Can I ask a question? Can
Sure.
people still volunteer for CERT?
Absolutely, and what we're doing is I think one of the things about this challenge is looking back 30 years ago to the tornado was sort of the most recently disruptive sort of thing like this, that obviously disrupted completely this part of town, and other parts not so much. But that went through, and then we knew what we had to do. We had to clean everything up, get the roads open, and that kind of stuff. Here, we still don't know the end point, and this is going to play out over a period of weeks, if not months.
Yeah.
So it's what we're trying to do in our own ways, try to get ahead of things. So if we do have people signed up and trained, we'd like to have a large bench of people. So again, so people, because we may be in this for quite a long haul, and it's never too late to volunteer. People's skills.
Right, so we could possibly include this in the next newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now it looks like we have, probably 15 people. We have someone, Heidi Kearns, former selectman, is working and has just taken on Bonnybrook because that's where she works. So she's looking after those people, and that's her job. So we're trying to give people various tasks. Dean Zaccardi has volunteered to sort of coordinate the volunteers, and we have someone who's new to town but works for Google setting up our IT. So we have some, again, we're trying to task people
with their skill set.
With their skill sets.
Yeah, because I saw your email today, but I wondered if we should send that out to a larger group and then just maybe stagger it, like, as things progress and we see where the need is.
Right. So again, let us know if people have, again, we have some people with medical training that said I'm around. Let us know you're there. IT stuff is great.
Okay.
Medical stuff, as well as just, delivering and being able to check on people. We don't expect people to go in people's houses, but just
Right.
drop stuff off and wade through the window or whatever. So again, that program is up and running. We hope to start making some deliveries by the end of this week. And again, Heather, great thanks to Heather Deneen, our social service agent, who has luckily knows her client list and has been in touch with people to reassure people that there are goods and services available for people at this time. And again, people out there, the people say, what can I do? I mean, again, some of this is going to be financed by the town's food and fuel fund, so if people want to donate to that, that's a great way people can participate. So there's something that everyone can do, and again, those funds will go directly to help out people here in town. Also like to welcome people here that have, the town is pretty full at this point. A lot of people have come up from the New York metro area, but like to welcome them here. I know some people had to leave their jobs and their homes there to come up here, and again, welcome them here. And some of them have, again, have volunteered their abilities to help us out. So again, everyone's welcome, and we're all in this together. If there are people that have come, I know people have their kids, their grandparents. If there are people that have special needs or especially vulnerable, let us know. Again, we have a call list of elderly or vulnerable people that John is working his way through, talking to people, and the usual Cornwall response is, I'm fine, thanks for calling, how you doing? So everybody's doing well, but if there is people that have special requirements, let us know. We'd rather know ahead of time than in the middle of the night or something.
And it was to the point of welcoming our New York metro area friends. Somebody had approached me about feeling like they wanted to give back to this area because they felt like the influx of people were straining resources. And so, this person was interested in donating to the food bank.
Yeah.
And so I think that's if you're feeling that way, that's a great way to give back to your local community that may not be used to the influx at this time of the year.
Yeah, and another thing too is that people are here. One lady came up to me and said, well, what do I do? I don't have, my doctor's not here in New York. So we were able to talk to people, medical field, and they said, still talk to your doctor in New York. If you feel you're having symptoms or you feel you're having problems, the first call is not to the ambulance. It's to your primary care physician who knows you well. Even if that person is not in Connecticut, they can still help you out. And again, part of our strategy is to try to cut down the calls to the ambulance as much as possible, because it's a big amount of gear and personal protective equipment that's required if we don't know what's going on. And certainly if people are sick, we're there for them. But if they can, the standard advice is talk to your doctor first. And again, part of our home delivery strategy is to try to get the most vulnerable people feeling like there's a source of supply and they don't have to go to Stop and Shop themselves, especially if they're most likely to get infected by this. So again, a couple of food or a couple of supply strategies so far. We've been talking to local stores and about their supplies, making sure there's a lot of restocking going on, but so far people are coming up with things, and we're doing pretty well with that. One thing we are also working with Vera Deneen, the town clerk, and all the boards and commissions, trying to get our non-essential meetings postponed and our essential town meetings still functioning. So it's been very good. Our new town planner, who works for the Northwest COG, has done some research into Zoom and is coming in tomorrow at 10 o'clock to train Barbara and John, so we will be a Zoom community and be able to remotely have meetings, and I think that's what we're trying to do. Again, it's interesting to hear people making adjustments to be able to work out of their houses, and again, we're trying to do the same thing here with keeping our essential functions going. The highway department is still working, keeping things going, and Vera's here to answer any questions to the town clerk, and we're here. The transfer station is open, but we have a new little slogan down there, and it's called Move It. So we want to move people through there and cut down, at least for the time being, on the social aspect of going to the transfer station. And again, Ted and Will are glad to see people, but it's going to be, again, social distancing and remembering why we're there, and trying to keep these things operational is really important, because we don't want to all of a sudden not be able to get rid of our garbage and recyclables. So again, we're trying to keep all these things going. So again, I think we probably should just acknowledge that we will encourage town boards, and everybody's working on this as far as trying to have our meetings as remotely as possible, and I see this becoming more and more necessary as time goes on. So I think that should be our policy. Does everybody agree?
Agreed.
We'll pass that on. And again, a big thank you for everybody for helping out. And we're here, and I know again people are working hard trying to get through all this together. So is there any questions from the board about what we're doing?
No, I think you've been really great about information flow. Thank you for all the emails, and I get them out as soon as possible, and I think I'll come to you soon, just so you can take it if I'm working at my other stuff and something needs to go out super immediate.
Right.
Jonathan can take hold of that.
Yeah, and again, I think people can look at cornwallct.org or call the office here and get on all these communication chains, because again, if you think where we were last week, it's totally different than where we are this week, and probably next week will be different than today. So there are programs like small business loans that we're getting information about that, and things you might not expect. A lot of things flowing through here. And again, a big thanks to John. This wasn't on the application, can you handle COVID-19 crisis, but he's jumped right in and done a lot of work to keep this office open and receptive to people and stuff. So it's
great.
It's been good.
Oh, and the only other thing I would like to say is if you're a business or if you're an organization that has had events planned and you feel like you're not getting the word out that things are canceled,
right,
I'd encourage you to email cwlnews@optonline.net, and we can include that in our updates when we send them out.
Yeah.
Because I know there was some confusion at first of what's canceled, what's open, and this is a great channel of communication to let people know what's going on.
Yeah, I've even heard churches are having abbreviated outside services. So again, they're staying in business, they're giving people support that's needed, but they're doing it differently than they did before. So everybody's shifting their game.
Right, and we can communicate that to any organization or business, honestly. So.
Yeah, and again, that was quickly things changed. As of Saturday, gatherings over 250 were prohibited. Then it went down to 50 people, and now it's down to 10 is the suggestion. So that's how quickly things are moving. So anything else on that other than we'll stay in touch?
Sounds good.
Okay, great.
I learned today that trivia night has been canceled, which was on the schedule
Trivia night.
for April 11th.
But again, now that people are home
Yeah.
and have plenty of time, there may be a way they could do that remotely. Think about that. There's probably a way in
Yeah.
this town somebody could figure out.
Actually, it probably could be a way to do that.
There probably is, and there are some IT people floating around here that could figure out, and that's the kind of thing that would be kind of
Plenty of time.
plenty of time to figure that out. So you could have a contest to figure out who has the best remote trivia night.
And those
Yeah.
are things that we can talk about
Right.
in our newsletter, so.
Yeah, and I can bring that up to some of our new people if there is a way they can figure out
Yes,
how to do a
that would
remote
be
trivia
great.
night. So again, if we can think of remote trivia or remote events,
Right.
and again, people are planning, for the future, how do you keep as much stuff going
Yeah.
without the interaction? But
And another cool thing I saw, if there are musicians out there, you can hold concerts, virtual concerts.
yeah,
So like if you're a piano player, a singer, and people can live stream you. And so that's like a way of attending a concert.
right.
Just thoughts for the public.
Good idea. Good idea. Thank
Great.
you.
All right, so next on our agenda is Greenwood Counseling. John Simoneselli, who's been here before, the director, who's very good. This is Greenwood Counseling in Litchfield, which is a regional organization that provides counseling for people in this part of Litchfield County, and they have some guarantee or something about hooking you up with a mental health professional within 24 hours of your call. So, and they have 100 or more resource people to go to. So again, it's times don't seem to be getting any less stressful. And John, again, they're on the web if you need their help, or Heather knows them. And something the town does support, and he'll see us on a better day. But he sends his greetings and let people know, again, there are counseling services available for people, year round, but especially at this time, they're there for us. So we will see him another time. The budget season goes on. There have been some extensions by the state as far as timelines and things. We have our first round of budget. Just to let people know, we've had our budget, our first round come through. Some of the highlights are a slight increase in expenses, a little bit of decline in this high school population, and we've had an increase in the tax base. So things look fairly balanced going into the year. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to won't be able to give every person in Cornwall $1,000, but we can maybe give them level tax payments, which would be a good target for us to have, because I think everybody's having a tough time one way or the other financially at this time too. So I think that's one of our goals, is to keep the tax impact as minimal as possible. So it looks like we're setting ourselves up in that direction. With some good work from the Board of Finance and the school board. So again, there'll be some Zooming meetings, and we'll be setting up a process. We already have one for our budget, and whether we stick with that by remote control or whether we adopt one later in the season, we'll just have to see. Next is, we're still planning to do some road sealing. It says road scaling, but it's actually road sealing. In April, we have Seymour Sealing, who's done our chip sealing in the past, planning to do work, and I think I sent you a copy of this. It's mostly Cream Hill, Cherry Hill area, Dibble Hill, Pierce Lane, Ballyhack, and West Cornwall.
Chapel Street.
Chapel Street, look at that. You made the big time.
I did.
And
Thank you.
did you know it was 18 feet wide? Somewhere. At some point it's 18 feet wide. So anyway, it's my thought, again, this this is sort of optional, but by being able to do it this time of year, we're able to use heavier oil than we do in the summer. And I think we can, and this is sort of solitary work. There's not much traffic. I don't really see at this point a reason to cancel. At least what we can do is accept this bid. Jim approves this organization. They've done a good job for us in the past, and I believe they have the region bid for this. So I think at least that way that we can schedule things. And we are recycling about 200 and 300 tons of stone that we picked up from last year. So that should save us $4,000 to $6,000. So
Where do you pick it up?
well, what happens is we put down the oil, and then we put the stone on top, and then it gets rolled in, and then we sweep up the loose stone at the end of the season. So believe it or not, we pick up 200 to 300 tons of it, and we store it down at the gravel bank, and then we screen it with a screener,
Well,
and then we reuse it.
Reuse
So
it.
in fact, we recycle and
very good.
save some good money. So, so I'd make a motion that we engage Seymour Sealing to do our annual spring road sealing in the areas that they propose.
Second.
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 Okay, any discussion?
No, but I'd like to put something on the agenda for later, not during coronavirus, but has anyone ever done like a cost analysis of investing in paving versus scaling every year over time?
Well, what we do is we do about half and half. We spend half of our money on paving and half of it on sealing. And the rough outlook is that the paving, if we actually do grind it up and put down 3 or 4 inches of asphalt, costs approximately 10 times as much per mile as the paving. The paving would last somewhat longer, but it won't last 10 times longer.
Okay,
because
so not enough to make it cost effective.
not enough. I mean, but what we do is we find the worst areas and we reclaim and repave those. In
Okay.
fact, Jim may jump around on some of these roads and do paving. So we sort of do a mixed thing.
Okay.
But in some areas that just have cracks, in my mind, it's most important to have a sealing program too, because we would never have enough money to get around before everything cracked up.
No,
and
no, it
just
makes
went
sense.
away.
I'm just wondering, you know,
It's roughly a factor of 10. So when you,
Okay.
like the state's planning to do 128, which would be great.
that
for-
would be great.
to do all that, but it's going to be probably millions of dollars to do that amount.
Okay, thank you.
So you're welcome. So do we vote on that? Okay, so I'll make a motion that we accept Seymour Sealing. We discussed it. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Okay. Next is hazard mitigation. Again, Janelle, when she's not doing the Zoom, works on hazard mitigation, and this is actually something that FEMA does for natural disasters as opposed to virus disasters. And so we have a hazard mitigation plan which talks about flooding hazards and tornado hazards. So we have to update it every 10 years. So I think it costs us $1,000 to do that, but that enables us to get some federal and state funds if we do this, and it makes sense to look. It's hard to look at that in the middle of a crisis, but it makes sense to plan ahead. So I
So
would
who do
make
we pay the $1,000 to?
to the COG to have a consultant
Oh, to the
come
COG,
and
okay.
do that work. Otherwise, we'd have to hire our own engineer, and that would cost us thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So I would make a motion that we retain the Council of Government Services to do a hazard mitigation plan update. The first plan was quite lengthy. The town hasn't changed that much. That the hazards have the physical hazards haven't changed that much as far as weather. So, and again, it's an open process that the town people will know about and be involved in if they want to hear about floods. So, is there a second to that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, next do we have a tax refund, John?
Yes.
So. We have 2, 3,
Just 2, yeah.
2. Okay. So, from the Office of the Tax Collector, who is still open for business and glad to receive tax payments anytime
Go
through mail,
figure.
through mail or through the door. We have an overpayment we have two overpayments for real estate taxes, one larger than the other. And so I make a motion, we do this on the recommendation of Jean, the tax collector.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Next is
Do you want to see these?
Homeland Security Grant Program authorizing resolution from the Northwest Hills Council of Governments. So there's a bunch of resolutions and therefore and whereas stuff which John has got for
Here
us.
somewhere.
And again, just as an update, there's the state emergency management, Homeland Security, which sounds like terror, but it also deals with viruses and floods and things. We're very fortunate to have, as head of Region 5, which is based in Waterbury, so it goes from here down past Waterbury in that whole area, I think 50 towns. John Fields, the Region 5 coordinator, and he stays in touch with all these towns. He's formerly the fire chief from Torrington, and he did a lot of CERT training at the same time, and he's been a constant source of information for Diane and me. He's sort of our liaison with the state. Oh dear. So this is a long resolution that allows Vera to certify that we met at this meeting on March 17th, at which a quorum was present and acting throughout. Nobody fell asleep. The resolution
Is that in there?
no.
I don't know. It's like, there's so many rules. It could be.
All right, here's our resolution. All right, we'll read the whole thing. Resolved that the Town of Cornwall Board of Selectmen may enter into with and deliver to the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security any and all documents which it deemed necessary and appropriate, and further resolved that Gordon Ridgway, as first selectman of Cornwall, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the Town of Cornwall Board of Selectmen, to do so and perform all acts and things that she deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out terms of such documents, including but not limited to executing and delivering all agreements and documents contemplated by such documents. The undersigned further certifies that Gordon Ridgway now holds the office of First Selectman of the Town of Cornwall and has held that office since 1991. Okay. Oh my. Okay. So everyone is there. So what this basically means is it empowers me to enter into grant application to receive help from the state in emergencies. So it's very
Sounds like a
routine,
good idea.
but it has a legal seal here and really official. So.
Does it make you feel young? 1991.
1991 was a while ago. Yeah, that was yeah, been in a while. So it's all good. All right, got it. So, and Vera will certify this, and we're all in favor.
Yes.
Except I can't vote
Aye.
because
Aye.
I mentioned in it. But the majority prevails, and we're in business.
Great.
Okay, public comment, and again we await public comment. We did get a little thing from the Arts Council. It's important. I'll send you that out. The Arts Council regionally is alive and well. We met the new people that are running it, and we can put this up there because I think arts are especially important in stressful times. Liven things up. There's a lot of good things that are planned, and hopefully they'll be able to do these events. Make Music Day, Arts Night Out. They also have the weekly email. A lot of different things should be happening, and they also have an award ceremony which I've attended in the past. It gives recognition to cultural leaders, individuals, events and organizations who implement creative thinking in our community, local artists and musicians. So, all good. and that's available, so maybe we can incorporate that into our work. So, the next thing is bill payment, which I think is too exciting to show on film, so.
So we adjourn the meeting.
So
and-
make, yeah, so we'll pay bills and then we'll adjourn. Wish everybody well, stay in touch, and we'll see you around.